Thankfully, today is not an interview day. Otherwise, the kind of board members that you have is extremely unnerving for anyone who walks up onto the stage. My gratitude and thanks to the Institute to allow me to come in here and be a part of this event today. Uh, Many seniors from the armed forces are sitting here. Many of the gurus in different fields of life are sitting here. Uh, my respects to them. Dear friends, colleagues, and the young students sitting behind, thank you all once again. And Mr. Bansal, Founders Day is seems like when you score 100 runs and you take your stance back again, you find your leg stump or your middle stump again and take the stance again. You begin your innings afresh, keeping in mind all that you have done and why you have been here. I think it's a very important day because it realigns ourselves towards what the objective was of beginning this institute from day one. Not losing sense of direction is extremely critical, especially when you get involved with the nitty-gritties of running an institution. The macro picture is far greater than the changing micro pictures. And I think that's probably the reason why you have such an eminent body of board members. I congratulate you for that. Mr. Bansal has given me a very tough task of talking on how to handle media. So when you establish a department and when you finish your studies and thesis, do let me know how you handle the media. But one thing's for sure, with the media, it's like how they show in the Hollywood movies. Anything that you say will be used as evidence against you. So you've got to be very careful when you're talking to the media. But yes, media has grown in our country in a remarkable way. Today, it allows each and every Indian to understand, in a way, of what is happening with the state or central government of the various issues. And one of the places where the media needs to really focus is on the quality, and that's where, as readers or audience of TV channels, we need to pay very careful attention of what to accept as truth. I know of a very eminent channel head who was receiving an award, and he sort of confessed that the competition is so great for catching eyeballs that when any other channel starts running a breaking news, they start breaking it as well. And it's only later they try and find out, as the news is breaking and as the discussions are taking place, whether it's true or not. And when it's not true, they replace it with another breaking news. So times are very tough for all of us. Media, of course, needs to invest into qualitative journalism. And perhaps that's a place where the government of India might look at in future in terms of increasing the foreign direct investment into news channels. Presently, it's on 26%. There is a considerable thought of taking it to 49%, thereby putting in more money into the news channels and thereby hoping that the news channels will put that bit of money into training of journalists. And that's where your institute comes in. It's extremely critical, the quality of education that is imparted today. With whatsoever is happening around in the country or in the world, at times one feels disappointed or disillusioned. But I see such institute like yours as they say in yoga, the energy chakras. The outside may be polluted, but when you come to such institutions, you regain your purity, you regain your basic foundation, and you go back again into the society to try and make it better. When I was perhaps a student like you sitting behind, there was a whole lot of pressure from parents and everyone. And it was like, just let us get over with this. Let's get the studies over and life is very secure after that. I'll get a job and everything is good. That's something that I learned in the army. A very senior officer sitting here. We had this class of tactics in the army, and they gave us, I thought, would be huge volumes of books on tactics. They gave us a small précis with perhaps 20 pages. And someone amongst us, in his curiosity, said, "Is that all about tactics, these 20 pages? And what if the enemy knows these 20 pages and he knows exactly what we're doing?" And then somebody explained, "Well, this is just the foundation, this is just the basic. And from here on this basic foundation, you start building what tactics should be." So your studies here is very similar to this précis. It's very thin, small, and just the foundation. And from here, now when you go out, it's about your passion, about your commitment, about your goal that you want to achieve, about how inspired you feel about yourself, and then you will be able to really achieve goals. For example, in shooting, now considering that I won the Olympic medal in shooting, I should have been damn good shooter in the academy, but I was not. There, it used to be a question of, let's just get over this. I have to fire 10 shots. Let's just get this 10 shots out of my barrel and let me get out of the situation, because the helmet that you're wearing, which is about 1 kilo, is dangling on your head, and there's an instructor standing behind who's ready to whip you if you make any mistake. So you just want those 10 shots to go out of the barrel and say, "Thank you, sir, and I'm going back." It's only later when you joined the battalion that's where you started building on your core expertise for the armed forces as a youngster, on how to shoot straight, because you have to match up to your colleagues, the Jawans, and you have to be better than them in everything. So that's where I started really focusing. Similarly, in life, what you study here, be it media, be it sports management, be it any other management, is only the basics. But when you go out and interact with the society and understand what your job really requires, and then feel passionate about doing something, that you start building on the structure, and that's going to help you in life ahead. Knowledge is what you get here, but to put that knowledge into action is extremely critical. So knowledge is everywhere, actually. When you talk to your friends, there's knowledge. When you see television, there's knowledge. Films could be knowledge as well. Books are knowledge. Magazines are knowledge. Teachers are a fantastic source of knowledge. Parents are knowledge. But all that knowledge is useless until you put it into action. And I think I can't quote a better example than, since a whole lot of senior officers are here, of another a war story. Yom Kippur is a festival of Israel. It's perhaps something similar to our Diwali, as important. And the knowledge was that Israel celebrates Yom Kippur in a big way. But how Egypt put it into action was, from 1968 onwards, during the Yom Kippur festival, they started lowering down the boats in the Suez Canal. They would lower down the boats and withdraw it back. 68 they did it. Israel was very alert. 69 they did it again. Israel was still alert. 70 they did it again. Israel thought they're just used to it. Just during this festival they do it. In 71 they did it again. 72 they did it again. 73 Egypt invaded, and Israel was caught off the guard. So knowledge is one thing, but using the knowledge to effectiveness is entirely another thing. So when you gain in knowledge, start using it, start applying it, be it sports management, be it media management, be it anything else. It's going to give you a lot of satisfaction. Also, your ability to communicate is extremely critical. I keep telling I'm a learner. I'm always learning. And I'm always outside my comfort zone. Standing here on the podium is outside my comfort zone, by the way. I used to be a backbencher in school. One day I decided that I need to get better, because whenever I was talking to the friends, I realized that there's competitiveness here as well. And so I may be good in sports. Let me show my competitiveness in studies as well. And so that day I moved ahead, and my friend said, "What's gone wrong with you? You've gone to the front bench." So the very fact that how you're able to communicate, be it to yourself or be it to outsiders, is extremely critical. Especially communicating to yourself is even more critical. I was saying, I keep telling my son, and like I'm a learner, uh, whenever I find somebody speaking very well, I kind of tell him that, look, he has the ability of putting onto his tongue what's going on in his mind. And that's not an easy virtue. Many of us have great ideas in our mind, but it's very difficult for us to put it onto our tongue, to communicate to somebody else. At times, in my early years, I would say something to my subordinates, and they won't understand it. And at times, I used to lose my temper. Then I realized it's not their mistake; it's my mistake that I am unable to communicate in the way they best understand. So, working on this ability to communicate to outsiders is a continuous process, and it's an extremely critical and important aspect. A whole lot of recruiters are sitting here, I believe. HR personnel are sitting here. They will agree. They won't agree any less that whenever a student or a prospective person walks in, the ability to speak is extremely critical. I read a lot of newspapers, and I read it aloud at times. I read a lot of Hindi newspapers also, because coming from the army, a typical political Hindi is not so easy, and BJP is known for that. So I read aloud, and sometimes I'm made fun of, because my driver tells my wife, खबर तो मैं वैसे ही सुन लेता हूँ गाड़ी में बैठा बैठा, साहब पीछे पढ़ रहे होते हैं खबर. But it's all right. The jokes can be on you. The point is that you're learning. So I keep doing that. But another important aspect is communicating with yourself, which I said a little before. And that I did a lot in sports. Because in sports, I found myself totally isolated. In the army, you have a whole team. So you have buddies who are, when the chips are down, they're kind of pepping you on. You do the same to others. But in sports, when you have to excel, and especially under pressure, there are no friends. So you have to talk to yourself. What you communicate to yourself in difficult times is extremely critical. And you can't be a better friend than anybody else. So learn to communicate with yourself. Be your best friend. Talk to yourself in difficult times. In a competitive round of half an hour, I would talk to myself 1,000 times, and it's mentally absolutely draining to talk to yourself 1,000 times. You talk to yourself so much that there is no space for a negative thought to come in. So you flood your mind with positivity, and you keep flooding it. No space for anything else. I'm really glad that your institute has a sort of a program where the young students are taken out for, first they're taught about CSR, and then they're taken out for CSR activities. I think it's extremely critical. And I think that's something that you are doing as an institute as well. When I learned about your institute, the very fact that Mr. J.R. Bansal, a man of such eminent stature, set up this institute, was one of the primary reasons was to give back to the society. The very fact that you are continuing with such eminent board members is each one wants to give back to the society. And I relate this to an evening in Australia where we were staying in a hotel, and there was this huge ground outside. And on a Saturday evening, it was totally crowded. And I saw the parents came and they sat down all along the stadium outside with the cars parked, perhaps beer in their hand, sandwiches, etc. And the kids were inside playing. And I asked somebody, I said, the Australian government has organized it very well. There are coaches who are teaching the students. And one of them said, no, they are not coaches, they're one of the parents. So the parents give their time, whoever was good in sports, to go and teach the students, to the young kids. Now that is giving back to the society. I find that, and that's one of the reasons why I joined politics, was every time I felt that I'm achieving something in sports, perhaps the advantage of that, the results of that, will reach down to the others. It wasn't really happening. And I thought that perhaps there has to be a platform where beyond sports, you can get onto that platform and be able to help out others. It's for nothing else but for myself. And I think that's what everyone did. Mr. Bansal's doing the same for himself. There is a sense of satisfaction and there's a sense of achievement. You sleep much better at night when you're able to help out others. It's undeniable. Wealth, comfort is all right up to a certain level. After that, you will only find peace if you're able to help somebody. And I think that is the essence of CSR, to be able to become a complete human being, to be able to help others. A little story similar to the from the armed forces is the speed of the team is the speed of the slowest man in your team. And therefore, you have to teach that slowest person, and at any point of time, you can become the slowest person in some field or the other. So don't think that you are blessed with certain degree of intellect and ability that you will never be slow. I remember one of the reasons why I joined the armed forces, and that was not the only reason, was that I didn't have to give my 12th board. So 11th ka exam diya, I got through my NDA, and I had to join the National Defense Academy before my 12th board. So it was very, very comfortable. So I joined it, and I thought that's the end of studies, because army is all about guns and fighting and war, and that's what I wanted. And I realized that I flunked in initial tests of the National Defense Academy. Then the NDA took out a list of weak students. So there was a whole lot of weak students, and they had to attend after sports period. They had to attend classes in the evening. So there were like 20 students and one instructor, and my name was not there in that. So I said, at least NDA realizes that I have potential. It's just that I didn't study. Then they came out with another list, which was one student and one teacher, and my name was on that. So the weakest student needs to be given attention, or team member needs to be given attention and needs to be moved ahead. There are a lot of corporate people here as well. So tell me, how many times can you look at a person of your team and say there's something wrong with him today? Now, that is a very critical factor. And to be able to call out and say that aaj koi gadbad hai, ghar pe theek nahi hai. The very fact that you're able to pick up that there is something amiss today in his family, on his looks, expression, the way he's working, means that you have been looking at your team as humans and not machines. And that's what creates a rapport. And the team and the rapport will actually move the performance will go up much higher. And the rapport is something that is extremely critical in the politics. In the army, they have a system of annual confidential reports. So after 1 year, everybody is cited, whether how did he do, how did he work, possibilities of promotions ahead, but it's once in a year. In politics, it's every day, and it's verbal, and it's by many, many mouths. Who goes and speaks about me and how is my CR? And it's happening on a daily basis. And I think it's amazing, because the kind of humility you learn in politics is uncomparable, absolutely uncomparable. And humility has tremendous power. Perhaps the only reason why my wife was happy that I joined politics was, ab tum sort out ho jaoge. You know, typically army teaches us to be too kadak and a lot of ego. Perhaps that's good for the army, but not in politics. You have to bow down to everyone. You have to do namaskar to everyone. You have to listen to everything and yet maintain your calm composure. And so she said that this is the place where you will get sorted out. So it's a great learning every day in life. Never forget your potential. The students who are here, never forget to give to the society. Remember that you are passing out from a great institution which has been set up with the thought of giving back to the society and adding value. Never forget that you can be that energy chakra in your family or your surroundings. I wish you all the best and good wishes. God bless. Thank you so much.